Hi, everyone. Welcome to Natick for Black Lives Matter Select Board Candidate Forum 2023. My name is Deborah Mitchell. I'm the founder and president of Natick for Black Lives Matter. Right now, I'm going to ask that we all introduce ourselves quickly. And Paul, before we do the introductions, could you please do an opening from Natick Black Lives Matter Community Liaison Office?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Deb. Paul Carew, Community Liaison, Natick Black Lives Matter. I think this is great. Natick for Black Lives Matter getting involved in the election process by hosting this debate tonight. I hope everybody gets something out of it, and some of us are first time meeting our candidates, but I think it's great for the Black Lives Matter to get involved in the election process. Thank you.
And if we would just like to introduce ourselves. Would you like to introduce yourself? Uh-oh, where am I?
So, Deb, you want everyone to introduce themselves?
Yes.
Okay, all right, and maybe we can just hold the candidates off when they're ready to speak. Perhaps that might be better. But feel free to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please. Thank you.
Good evening. This is Valerie and
Elton.
And we live in East Natick.
Thank you.
Well,
you're welcome.
Just
Hi, I'm
Go
Carol Gloff, and I live in downtown Natick. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kate Flathers. I live in downtown Natick and have 4 kids and been here about 15 years.
Hello, my name is Maya Angela, and I live in Boston, Massachusetts.
Hi, Angela. Daniel.
Hi, I'm Dan Zitnick. I live in North Natick.
Sue.
Yes, ma'am, Pastor Deb. This is Susan Simone Kang. I live in East Natick also. Hi, neighbors Valerie and Eldon.
Hi there.
Hi, we're Brinley and Greg, and we live near Natick High School.
Nice to meet you. Everybody knows Frank Foss. Hi, Frank.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, so I'm going to turn this over to Bishop Kelly, the moderator. Bishop Kelly is apostle of Way of the Cross Church in Dorchester. He is also the business owner of the network, Global Partners Network. And Bishop, go right ahead.
Well, thank you, Deborah. Also former economic chair for the Black Ministerial Alliance of Greater Boston, and former founding member and president of GBIO, Greater Boston Interfaith Organization. I'd like to thank everyone coming on, and in particular, the proposed candidates for the Natick Select Board. Welcome. It's always exciting to be able to hear perspectives and opinions and ideas for the betterment of our community. And so we're looking forward to really get a very vibrant and energetic interaction and information from those folks that are running for office. So if it's okay, we're going to jump right into the introductions of the candidates, and we're not what we'd like for you to do is we use this term, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. But we're going to open it up, okay? And we're going to allow whoever wants to go first, and then second and third. No particular order. We're allowing you to be able to select yourself in terms of starting out. So we'll start off with the introductions. And since you have time, you can introduce yourself and then you can answer some of the questions. As I said, we have quite a few questions here, so it's going to go across the board. I'm going to try to refer to some of these questions, but we're not going to get through all of them. I'll tell you, we have at least nine questions. So after the questions, then we're going to open it up for any questions that any of the other audience members might have for you. Daniel, I guess he's here. I don't know if I see him yet, but he's going to be. If he doesn't, we'll try to keep time and stay within the time frame. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, I just wanted to say quickly that Bishop is the advisor to Black Lives Matter, and so that's why one of the reasons why he's moderating today. He's one of
I
the
wanted to say too that
advisors.
we have offices here in Boston, in Georgia, and in Florida. And matter of fact, we also have another network partner who runs the Black Lives Matter in Florida. So we do. I was a banker for 20 years and retired very young, and now I'm a community banker and pastor in the city of Boston. So here we go. Again, whoever wants to go first, raise your hands and we'll get on with it. You can introduce yourself and then we'll get into the questions. If you don't step forward, I'll call your name.
The three.
I'm happy to start.
Okay, thank you.
I'm happy to start. Good evening, everybody. And thank you, Deborah, for kicking off this forum. Thank you, Bishop, for moderating this evening. And thank you to all of the candidates here who are, willing to serve. My name is Kristen Pope, and I first want to recognize the servant leaders who have come before me in the town of Natick. The first I want to start off with our Vice President, Henry Wilson, who was a fierce slavery abolitionist. I want to go and name some women who have come before me and come before us. Women, the first woman and first Jewish woman select board member, Erica Ricky Ball. Women like Melissa Patrick, who founded Natick Families of Color, a place that I found as a sense of belonging when my family moved to Natick. Dr. Mary Crutchfield Thompson, who founded the Natick Fair Housing Practices Committee that helped our first Black select board member, George Strait, find a home here in Natick. Gamel de Cavallo, a founding member of Natick is United. These are just some of the pioneering forces, men and women in Natick. And then a young person, Elle Martinez, who boldly shared their experience in the Natick public schools as a person of color. Each one has added to the fabric of Natick's diversity through service and adding their perspective. And in many ways, I believe that it's their shoulders and many others that I seek to build upon and whose work I seek to deepen in Natick. I've sought to do this through community building in Natick. Not long after moving to Natick, my husband and I both got involved in serving on town committees. I've had the privilege of serving Natick's personnel board. I've served as an advisor to a youth-led organization called Rise Natick, focused on anti-racist principles, and currently serve on the board of United Way Tri-County. And I am a Natick runner. From childhood to adult life, leadership, servant leadership, and collaboration have been principles of mine that I've followed. We are aware that Natick is facing complex challenges like making the town government accessible to all of our neighbors to increase town volunteer participation, engagement that's inclusive of all perspectives in our rich and diverse citizen base that resides here, implementing the recommendations of the DEI task force in hiring a DEI professional for the town, educating families and children on how to be truly inclusive and have belonging principles, attracting the best talent to our workforce, remaining fiscally sound and looking for opportunities to create new growth for our future, protecting and expanding services to the most vulnerable here in town. And talking to neighbors, a theme that I keep hearing is a desire for more diverse voices and rich perspectives, fresh and rich perspectives to be in our town governance, like the select board. My experience as a board member who knows the power of skilled collaboration, a business owner of almost 10 years, a communicator and media executive for almost 20 years, someone who knows how to connect the dots, distribute information in ways that people feel seen and heard, a working mother of a young child who's in the Natick school system, and an engaged citizen, I believe positions me to be effective on the select board. So I want to thank you again for hosting this forum, and I am humbled to participate.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Christian Pope. We gave you a few minutes. We would like to also give the other candidates equal time. I will come back with the question. So thank you for being the first one to respond. All right, let's open to the other two candidates. Yes.
I'll go next. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Kat Monahan. I live in West Natick, currently near the Brown School. I'm grateful that Kristen thanked all those people and named all those people, because I'll make my bio a little bit shorter. But thank you all for being here. And I'm very appreciative of this opportunity to talk to everyone at the Black Lives Matter Forum. My involvement with Natick has been through the town government as a representative for Precinct 3 at town meeting since 2020. I've also served on the Natick Finance Committee and helped prepare the recommendation book that gets sent to the town meeting members. My career and professional life has mostly been in accounting. So I have an MBA in nonprofit management as well as finance. I've always liked numbers a lot and felt very comfortable in that world, but I still want to be involved with my community. So I've used those skills as a volunteer tax preparer for low income and elderly residents. I did that at Boston Medical Center. It was a really amazing way to connect with the community and use my skills in a specialized way to help these people. And then, yeah, I live in Natick with my husband and our 2 kids. They're 6 and 3. Yeah, we love the Natick schools, and I'm loving like the diversity of people that I see every day when I go to the schools or go to the farmers market, see people at swimming lessons and everything. It's really bringing yeah, a deeper sense of community and kind of like a denser fabric that we're all building together. Right now, I work for Landry's Bicycles. We're an 8-shop company in Massachusetts, and we're 100% employee owned. So yeah, Bishop Kelly, you mentioned like some of the community banking, like I love that kind of stuff. And we're really trying to redistribute the profits, and all of the retained earnings are going back into, you know, trust for our employees, who are people that normally wouldn't have access to that kind of an economic asset in their lives to just build their, you know, their family's net worth, even though they're just someone assembling bicycles. Yeah. How am I doing for time, Dan?
Great, great, terrific. Thank you, Kat Monahan. We'll come back to you in a minute. So the last but not least is Rich Sidney, who I guess is an incumbent already on the Natick Select Board. So Sidney, Rich, you're on.
Thank you, Bishop Kelly. And thank you to Deb Mitchell and Natick for Black Lives Matter for inviting me here. I'm Rich Sidney. I'm running for re-election to the Natick Select Board. I've lived in Natick for 35 years. During this time, I married my wife, Sandra. Our daughter is a graduate of Natick High. Last September, I was elected to the Select Board to fill an empty seat. I'm now running for a full 3-year term. I'm the son of an immigrant who came to the US in 1942 during the Holocaust. I began volunteering in Natick on the 4th of July Parade Committee. I've served 18 years in town meeting, 10 years on the Finance Committee, and on several other committees. I've learned the complexities of the town budget process and issues that our town faces. My experience has taught me the importance of balancing diverse needs for our residents and businesses. The 2020 census shows that 21% of our community is non-white. Natick must be an inclusive community. We all benefit from diverse ideas and an engaged community. We must understand and remove the barriers to participation in all aspects of town governance, from town meeting to boards and committees, to creating a welcoming environment for new businesses. We must also be welcoming to new residents. That includes ensuring that new residents can afford to move and live here. The Equity Task Force has made a number of recommendations. I'm committed to supporting those recommendations, including the supporting the hiring of the DEI director that town meeting is funded as soon as possible. I will also work to ensure that the select board includes goals for both itself and the town administration that help ensure that all residents feel welcome and that they belong in town. I have a lot to learn about these issues. I look forward to answering your questions this evening. Thank you for participating tonight. And I ask for one of your 2 votes on March 28th.
Great. I thank you all for responding and sharing and giving us your introduction. If it's okay, we are going to do a reverse, which means that Rich, you were the last. So I guess we'll start with you in terms of the questions. And again, you're the incumbent, only incumbent on the board. And I'm a novice, so I'm just learning about the politics in Natick. So it sounds like this is a 2 to 3 year tenure. Is that correct?
It's a 3-year term.
3-year term. Okay. All right. So you're gluttony for punishment, coming back for another 3 years. Is that what you're looking for?
I've been on the board for about 5 months. I was elected in September to fill an empty seat.
Okay. And so there's 2 seats left. Is that correct?
There are 2 seats open this spring, and so people get 2 votes on March 28th.
Okay. And I understand that there's one of the candidates that is not present today, I believe, that's running. Is that correct?
Yes, that is.
Okay, great. Well, we thank you for coming. So, Rich, I'm going to ask a general question, and I believe the audience may have more specific questions since they live in Natick. So we will use some of these questions that we have here, but I think it would be good for us to kind of learn a little bit what it is that you might bring now, since you're an incumbent, that might make a difference moving forward for Natick.
What a great question, because so far I haven't had to deal with any of the policies yet that are DEI focused. As a member of the board, I've received some updates from the town administrator about the hiring process for the DEI director, and he's interviewing several candidates. And so my goals going forward are to make sure that we pay attention to these DEI issues and make sure that we set ourselves some goals on the select board, and also that we set appropriate goals for the town administration to meet to make our town more inclusive, more affordable, more open, and that we look for opportunities to engage people and let people feel like they can participate, that they know what's going on, and that they know how to live in town and really want to be here.
Okay, so is it anything that's a hot button for you in terms of what it is that you need to focus on if you are reelected?
Well, I've got a number of issues that I want to focus on, and they're all sort of interrelated. So one of the big issues in our town is the availability of affordable housing, and it's a tough problem because there's not a lot of land, and so I want to make sure that we are looking at every option to keep our town affordable. Also, one of the ways we keep our town affordable is that we bring in good businesses that will support the town. And if we make our town welcoming to businesses of from all people, that will also help us. So anything we can do to bring in good economically sound businesses that will help our town out, the better. It's a very sort of complex weave. So
Great. One more last question. What do you see as the greatest challenge, either serving on the board or serving the community?
the biggest challenge is really it's balancing the needs of an extremely diverse population. In the fall, we made a decision about the Charles River Dam, and there were two very different opinions, and we had to include questions of, what's best for the ecology, what's best for our Native Americans, what's best for the liability, for the financial interests of the town. And some of these questions are really complex. And there are people that have different opinions, and trying to listening to everybody and learning what everybody thinks to help make those decisions. There's a lot of different opinions in town, and listening to everybody and keeping them straight as I go into any decision-making process is a big challenge serving. And I'm committed to doing that. And I started doing that even before I was elected in September.
Great. Thank you. I'm gonna, again, we're reversing and going backwards. So the next person that will ask similar questions would be Kat, is that right? Kat Monahan, right?
Yeah, Kat.
Yeah, so again, what is it that you bring that might make a difference on the board and in the town? Could you share with us on that? And then I'll ask similar questions relating to what we've asked Rich, and try to bring in some more questions from our list.
Yeah. Like I said, I have a strong educational and professional background in the budgets and the really big numbers and financials that the select board has to digest from different departments, or, making sense of the state aid numbers that come in. I have, a really good handle on that, but I'm also bringing the perspective of a young parent and a generation that's not really represented on the select board right now. And I think that, I'm very committed to talking to people and outreach. We haven't gotten to it yet, but I think one of the biggest challenges facing us as a select board is the missing part of community engagement, where we have a town meeting that's highly vacant, which is disappointing. And we have, meetings that people don't attend or attend and are frustrated with the interactions that they have. I think that there's a lot of good that Natick can do to bridge that gap with our citizens that aren't engaged and our residents that aren't represented now, either hearing their voices or encouraging them to be on these boards, to join town meeting, or find out what the barriers are for them right now.
Great. You did mention something about the greatest challenge, and could you speak a little bit more about that? Could you mute yourself, please? Let's see if we can do that. Hold on.
I don't know what you got.
Hello? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The community engagement is a huge challenge. I know Rich mentioned housing affordability. That affects everyone in Natick. People that want to move here, people that are currently here and hoping to, be able to afford to stay in their homes, like some of my neighbors that have had to move. And I'm hopeful that the town can really respond to this challenge by, encouraging affordable housing production on their own, which is something that we've seen RFPs come to the select board to decide on, but also making it easier for some of these mixed use developments to be built, or even let people, convert their home into a 2-family in order to retain affordability in their neighborhoods and maybe, improve density a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Natick has a lot of financial challenges as far as, falling behind on our pension liabilities and replenishing some of our stabilization funds that we had to dip into during the pandemic. That's, the select board doesn't have control over the funds coming in, but we can decide where we put it, and it's a reflection of the town's priorities.
Okay. Great. We're gonna, unless you have anything else to close out with, we're gonna now go to our last but not least, and that's Kristen Pope. Similar questions. You kind of heard the questions before, and we'll maybe get to some of these other questions that's on the list, but I think I would probably want to hear some specific questions from our audience, but go right ahead, Kristen.
So I think the first question you asked was, what do I think that I can bring? What do we think we can bring to the select board?
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you for these questions. I believe there is an opportunity for a fresh perspective that doesn't reside on the board. I am a mom and a working mom. I am a small business owner. I am a seasoned communications professional. And one of the things that I think our town needs is some clear lines of communication with our community. That through the media, through our website, through the way we reach our neighbors. I have a background in journalism that is specifically targeting to outreach, and outreach is necessary to all of our neighbors. And I don't want to say especially our underrepresented, but to the neighbors that probably need to feel empowered to be a part of the larger conversation in Natick. So that's an area where I believe that I will be very valuable. One area where I believe I'll be very valuable. To the question about what does Natick, what's a great challenge? We are in the midst of a town governance review right now to review the efficiency of our town government. And I think that's going to be huge. I think it's going to be huge in treating some of the symptoms of the engagement issues that we're having. The efficiency of how our town runs is directly connected, I believe, that in communication and outreach to our community is directly related to whether we have great engagement from our citizens or not. Not everybody feels empowered to serve. Not everybody knows what's going on. I've had a number, there's a lot of conversations I've had in this process where people have asked, what does the select board do? Who is the select board? So there's education to be had in our community about what our town, what our town governance does and how we as citizens can take part in that, how it benefits us to play a role in that. And so at the town governance review, I'm extremely eager to see what the recommendations are going to be. What is, there's a new report, a finance report from the DLS about things that should be updated in our bylaws, areas of inconsistency in the parts of our bylaws and our charter. And so I believe that there's opportunity for these things to be addressed so that in our outreach, we are speaking to, we are attracting more people to get involved. Another issue I find is our business community, is diversifying our business community and allowing, making space and making space and supporting more businesses of color. Economics, you talked about, you know, running a bank and having a background in economics. In order to continue to diversify Natick, we have to make sure that they're supported through economics, whether that is creating an economic base for themselves, creating a more wealthy economic base for themselves, or the town supporting that through things like affordable housing. So those are some of the areas that I see need to be addressed, and areas where I believe that I'll be valuable.
Great, thank you so much, Kristen. I'm gonna open it up in a minute for the audience to have some questions for you, but a common thing that all three of you mentioned as a challenge had to do with engagement and maybe community outreach. I'm pulling some questions now from the list that I have here. I haven't heard anything about the schools. I haven't heard anything about the police department. And so I'm posing this question to all three of you. If you have a view or an idea on the state of affairs that relate to the school and the police department, and how it relates to the community, and what you see needs to happen in terms of any improvement in those areas. So we'll do the same thing. We'll go to reverse. So we'll start again with you, Kristen, and we'll go back the other way. I hope this is a fair way to do this.
So to tackle the school, I want to be mindful that while the select board works closely with the school committee, it is a different area of governance. And so I believe that, you know, one of the big things that's relevant is that the select board have a great relationship with the school district, with the administration, and with the school committee. And I believe that setting the tone, because the select board sets policy, because there is because the select board sets a tone, I believe that has the ability to impact the school committee and our school districts. And so hiring a DEI professional for the town and following and implementing the DEI task force recommendations from a town perspective, I believe is going to have tremendous impact on the schools and how we think about what the school system is doing in terms of curriculum, in terms of inclusion, in terms of belonging. I believe on a town level that has direct impact on the school committee. Where the police is concerned, transparency is something that we should have. Accountability is something that shouldn't be optional. And so making sure that in the select board's oversight of the police department, that transparency is happening, and that we are letting our community know at the appropriate time what's happening in the police department and community engagement. I believe in our police department being in the community. When talking to Chief Hicks, he talked about how, you know, the newer recruits to the police force are relatively young. And so it's important that they be in the community, having events, hosting the community to talk about what our concerns are, how people feel, what's people's relationship with the police department. Do they feel comfortable? Do they feel as though, you know, the police is the place that they would call if they were in need of help? So I think making sure that our police department makes it a priority to be in the community, and not when they're, you know, not just when they're policing, but being in the community to be partners with the citizens, so that citizens feel as though the police are not, just here to police us, but that they're here to be partners with us, and set that as a culture with the police
Thank you,
department.
Kristen. Same question to you, Kat. The
Sure.
schools and police
If you want someone with like a different perspective on the police from what our usual select board has been, I think I might be your candidate. I'm disappointed in some of the things that we've learned about, the police department had like an officer disciplinary action over the winter. I don't know how far we want to get into it, but it seemed like the lack of transparency in that process was very discouraging, both from the town, the department itself. I'm hoping Natick can improve and make that better. I was encouraged by the new officers that I saw Chief Hicks swear in at a select board meeting, I think it was a month ago. I believe there were 5 of them, which was really exciting. But at the same time, I see the police advertise in Natick a free week of summer camp for teens. And to me, I wonder, where's the other week of summer camp for a teen that doesn't want to spend that time with the police? Like, I know that our Parks and Rec offer these camps, but they're paid and you can't just sign up and go for free for a week. I think we need to be offering those alternatives. And I think the amount of money that the town is spending on the police department is not the best way to bring our community together in these ways. Yeah, I'm filled with the spirit of Henry Wilson. I am like capital A abolitionist. The other intersection of that is I don't know, I get concerned about the idea of school resource officers, and I don't necessarily think Natick is going to pioneer replacing them with something else, but it's something that I'm probably not going to want to expand to every single school in Natick. Yeah.
Thank you, Kat. All right, Rich, you're again the last but not least. Same question. Schools.
Yeah, Kristen said it right. The select board doesn't really have a lot of input into the how the schools operate. That's the school committee and the superintendent. And I have to say, in my experience over the past few years, the schools have done a tremendous job around managing diversity, and I really appreciate that. But the select board doesn't really have a lot of input there. In terms of the police, Chief Hicks is a leader in engagement, and one of the things we're an early pioneer of having a social worker available to the police department to accompany them on calls, particularly mental health calls. The police department is increasingly diverse. The 5 police officers we hired were majority minority, which is great. And I was really glad to see it. In terms of transparency, this is one of my big issues. We have to be more transparent about what's going on. There are limits sometimes to what we can be transparent about with personnel issues and things, but we have released all of the executive session minutes from that police disciplinary issue. And it, I wasn't there for the incident, but it was clear from the minutes that it was a very difficult situation for the board to deal with. We'll, if I'm reelected, I'm just going to make sure that we're staying as transparent as possible about what's going on, within the limits of our legal requirements. We have to learn how to engage better. We do have a new communications director. The DEI director, when hired, is going to work with that person and also with the rest of the administration to help us find ways to be better communicators. So, you know, it's all part and parcel of the same thing. There's a lot going on, and we want to be as transparent as possible. And Chief Hicks is really great at making sure that he's engaged with the town, and so, you know, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. We're gonna open it up. We have now about 20 minutes before we close, but we really appreciate your responses. They were great, all of them, I think. And actually, you really did respond to some of the questions that were posed that was on our list, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3. So what I'm going to do, Debbie, I guess you do have a comment, but we're going to open it up. I'd like to open it up because I believe that the audience and those that have come into this forum might have some particular and specific questions for each of you.
Okay, first I want to say to everyone that came, again, thank you on behalf of the team that need Black Lives Matter, and thank you, Christian, for mentioning people that have come before me, such as Natick Families of Color, and a lot of the other organizations, such as the Racial Justice Group. And I want to thank Ian's group, Church, Common Street Spiritual Center, which allowed me to start Natick Black Lives Matter at his church. My question to all 3 of you, and Daniel, I don't know if Daniel, Daniel's here, Bishop. Daniel,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we have,
yeah,
my
as I said,
18, so yeah, so.
I have a quick question. I am part activist and part educator. I have a master's, bachelor's in education from Tufts University. And so my question to each of you is just to shake things up a little bit. Can you give me some input on your view of critical race theory and the proposed banishment of AP studies in African American history? So whoever wants to tackle that first. Thank you. So your views on critical race theory and the controversial that is happening within the Black community as in terms of trying to ban AP African American studies, saying it's of no educational value, which is, in my opinion, bogus, crazy. But I just want to hear the candidates' thoughts on those. Jump in if you like.
I didn't go first at all, so I don't mind having to go first for this one. My understanding and views on critical race theory, yeah, it's a comparative framework for looking at history in our world that can be applied, you know, from the top down, whether it's like a doctorate, or if you want to explain to a child basic race relations and what it means to fight racism, you can explain it to a 5 or 6-year-old if you want to, and you're committed. And so the idea of banning, you know, Deb, you mentioned to me last week, it was Black Children's Book Week. The idea of banning books like this in libraries for children, or banning an entire course, you know, one of the AP tests, it's wrong. It's small-minded. And I think, at least in Florida, it seems like the market will win out, and kind of the money behind the AP test machine is gonna kind of push against that ban pretty hard, which is a great unintended consequence of our like for-profit testing system. Yeah. I'm really grateful for our community though. I mean, we have people like you, like authors in the community that talk to people each week. I really enjoyed going to, at the middle school, the MLK Day event. that was like a really great experience to bring my kid to. I'm hopeful that no matter who's on the select board, Natick won't go into that territory, but we can't be too careful in 2023. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
I can go next. First of all, I have to remind everybody that these issues are really issues for the school committee and the school administration. My view on critical race theory, though, is it's not a curriculum. Basically, it's an acknowledgement that we should be teaching all the history of our country, even when it's not complementary to white people. You know, I would have been way better served had I been learning more real history than what I learned when I was young. Yeah, in terms of AP classes, you know, my attitude is anything we can teach kids that they want to learn is better. More learning is always better. More educational opportunities are always better. However, the select board doesn't really have a say in that and shouldn't be sticking its nose into it, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rich. Okay. Kristen, your thoughts.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you, Deb, for the question.
Cool.
You know, I am mindful that this AP issue, that banning of an AP issue is a state issue in some states, primarily Florida, and has not crossed the borders of Massachusetts, as we are aware, which is a great thing. And moreover, I believe it important for all history to be taught. You know, one of the things that we like to say is Black history is American history. So there is no differentiation between American history, global history, and Black history. It is just history. And it should be taught with the full breadth of equity and fairness and fact and truth at, I believe, the youngest level. You know, and that goes for all matters of history, for history to just be taught accurately and by people, you know, who have been trained to teach it well. I think that's a big part of it, is that there be professionals who are well trained and well learned to teach history accurately and appropriately. And so where I think critical race theory has become an unnecessary divisive issue, I think it is just extremely important to have educators who are equipped to teach the full breadth of history, keeping in mind that Black history is not some other type of history. It just is American history.
Thank you. Thank you. Great responses. Thank you, Debbie, for opening up the question, but we'd like to open it up to the rest of the audience. If you have any specific questions or particular questions, ideas that you have in mind that you might want to pose to the candidates, please speak now.
I have a question, Mr. Moderator.
Yes, go right ahead.
I have a sense that community engagement is lacking in Natick. What is the cause of that? What is the cause of the lack of community engagement?
Got a little music there.
I'm trying to shut my phone off.
Okay, we'll get you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Someone answer that question? Either one of the candidates?
I'll start. I don't believe that the question on engagement, and thank you, Mr. Younger, for that question. I think it's a multi-pronged response. I think there's more than one answer and more than one reason that engagement is challenged. And by engagement, I think we have to contextualize it. there are people who want to get involved, people who want to serve, which is why we are here. And then when we look at our town committees and governance, they're thinking through that 21% that are non-white, there is we should have a goal as a town to want to see our governance and our town boards reflect that. So it's important that, and this is a business, this is a business principle. You do great business when the committees and the bodies that are governing and serving are diverse. It's good for engagement, it's good for morale, it's good for the bottom line. And so in addition to that, it's also important that you represent the community that you serve. So our board should reflect those numbers, it reflect those percentages. And so I believe it's a multi-pronged issue. One of the ways that I stated that it needs to be looked at is in the efficiency of our town. Communication about what's happening and when these elections happen and when you can get involved and when you can sign up and serve or inquire. Someone, maybe a civics course, that sounds really elementary, but a civics course that's town-wide, really to gauge the appetite of people that you can get involved and be involved. So that space of outreach, I think, Mr. Younger, it's a multi-pronged response to the engagement.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kristen. Who haven't spoken on that question? Yeah. Rich and Kat. What is the reason why there's a problem with the engagement or communication?
Yeah, I think there's several reasons that there's not so much engagement. There used to be a lot more engagement in town. I just have that feeling. But first of all, I think there's a lack of understanding of how government works and what's available to how to be engaged. I also think that it's difficult to find time to be engaged when we've got people working, two families, two parents working to afford to stay in town. There's not a lot of time to be engaged. So I think that there's a bunch of outreach we need to do to increase understanding of how the government works, what are the opportunities to be engaged, how people can be engaged, at the level that they're able to be engaged. One of the goals that we have set for the town administrator is to restart the Citizens Leadership Academy, which is a program that we used to have, and I hope we will again, where people can go learn how the government works. They can meet the people who are our government, both the volunteers and the administration. And that leads, I think, to people being engaged as well. It's just one form of outreach we can do. We have a lot of opportunity to bring people in. We just have to find ways to let them know they're welcome.
Thank you. All right, Kat.
Yeah, thank you, Rich, for bringing up the Citizens Leadership Academy, because I was going to say, I wanted to do it. It just hasn't run since I saw the website 4 years ago or whatever. So I think that's part of it. It's hard because, there are so many different people that are not participating in Natick right now. And there's not one answer that will reach all of them. One issue that I think people overlook is that we have a large non-citizen population in Natick. So they're already shut out from select board, town meeting. There are a lot of foreign-born professionals that might have come to the US for university or grad school. And so they live here, they work here, they're just not going to be voting here. And we need to make sure that their voices are heard as well when we're reaching out to these different communities. In particular, some of the least participating precincts in Natick are also some of the ones that are majority minority or have, you know, way diverse populations from income and age, everything. Just a bit of
Sounds like some work that has to be done.
yeah. And also, I think something the select board could do better is, I think right now the office hour is every other week, like on a Thursday morning at the senior center. I'd love to see that maybe like rotate, have a once a month, have a night meeting at different parts of town to get people to come to those more informal sessions where they can ask their questions.
Okay.
Kat, there are Thursday night office hours as well.
Oh, yeah.
Once a month.
Where they go?
They're already there.
Yeah.
Oh, like where?
Town hall.
Okay. I want them all over.
It sounds like a lot of work to be done, and I think any one of you that any one of you that will be successful in getting on board could have some influence in that area. Of course, technology, in-person meetings, opening up public offices, nonprofit involvement, et cetera, et cetera. Those are kinds of things I think could help with the outreach and engagement.
I did want to get in real quick. I think
yes.
keeping people informed is so important. I always shout out the Natick report. They're just like a local couple that writes up all these meetings and kind of summarizes it. It's been hugely helpful for people to keep up with what's happening in Natick. Yeah.
Yes.
So supporting local journalism.
Right. Any other questions? We only have a few more minutes, but we don't, anybody else? We want to give everybody an opportunity. If you have something burning that you feel that needs to be addressed. Anybody? Oh, wow. We must have covered a lot.
There was a question in the chat.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
You want me to
I
read
missed
it?
it. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll ask. So this is Jeremy and Justine. The question that I had was just really succinctly for each of the candidates to articulate as select board members, what are the 2 or 3 most important things each would do to move DEI issues forward for the town?
Good one.
Okay.
I'll do them super quick. Okay. 3 most important moves town could make to move forward. I would say be a leader on affordable housing and show that they support it by voting for an RFP, presenting that as an option. I think replacing the town seal and working to make Natick's history and imagery reflect the truth and not like things that we came up with 100 years ago that made us feel good. And then fill that DEI or Director of Equity, Inclusion and Opportunity, I think they called it for some reason, and acknowledge that they're going to be helping people that are complicatedly diverse. We don't just have Black residents. We don't just have elderly residents. We have people that are Hispanic and also disabled. We have people that, you know, have language challenges and are low income and need help in other ways from our community. And it's, yeah. One person in one position isn't going to fix it, but it'll get us there.
Thank you.
Closer.
Christian or Rich, anybody want to close out?
Thank you, Justine and Jeremy. I think that to start off, it's to follow the recommendations of the DEI task force. This task force was put together, worked together for a year, put together some solid recommendations for the town. I think that's the first place to start, is to make sure that there is an official, their recommendations were to put in place an official DEI committee for the town. And then second to that is to hire a DEI professional for the town. So I think those are like 2 of the first things that we should be prioritizing to demonstrate that we don't just take processes to do processes, but we actually follow through with those processes. And then we follow the recommendations of the people that we put in place to make these recommendations. We've, done this in a number of ways in the town and gone through vetted processes. So I think those are 2 of the first things to do. And then second is, or the last one is accessibility, making sure that our town is accessible to everyone. And that means identifying what are the barriers to entry to participate, to be economically sound. And that's a full vetting. I think the town governance study is going to be a part of that. Affordable housing is going to be a part of that, making it okay or easier for businesses of color to come to Natick. All of those opportunities for accessibility are necessary to make sure that we are prioritizing DEI in Natick.
Right. We got 30 seconds, and I'm sorry, Rich, but I think you mentioned something about that in your previous comments, but we've come to the end of our time.
Well, I can give a really quick answer
Sure.
if you let me. So once the DEI director is hired, on the select board, we're going to appoint a committee, and I will work to make sure that committee is diverse and effective. And we've got to work to educate residents through the Citizens Leadership Academy and a regular citizens engagement report in multiple languages. And I could go on, but I won't.
Thank you so much, all three of you. You're excellent candidates. It would be very difficult and hard to choose between any one of you. So, but we thank you for really responding and being open and candid. I think Natick is blessed to have such, I would say, experienced, knowledgeable candidates, and I wish all three of you the best of luck. Thank you. Deb?
Thanks everyone for coming. Good
Thank you all.
luck. Vote often and vote early, March 28th.
All right.
Thank you so much for setting this up.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good
Good
luck,
night,
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good
Night.
luck to you.
Really quickly, Justine and Jeremy, are you still there?
Oh, they go.
They had an addendum in the question. Deb, do you have the ability to get in touch with Justine and Jeremy?
Oh, is it,
No, I don't.
You don't?
was it Jeremy Kipling? I have his contact info. Is that him?
I don't know what his last name is. He just says Justine and Jeremy, but I would like to touch base with him after this.
Okay.
So if you have that contact information, I would appreciate it.
I'll try. I'll try to
If
find
it's the Jeremy, I think it is, I'll get you his email.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
All
for
right, good
coming.
night, everyone.
Kat,
Bye.
good luck.
Thanks.